Hello, in this math video, I will do a GED math video regarding calculating slope. So yeah, we're going to calculate slopes in this graphs. So we're not going to find the equation of a linear line yet. First, we're going to find slope. So go ahead and get out your notebooks. There are some formulas that we must go over in order to do these problems. So slope can be expressed in many different ways, right? One way is you may have remembered slope as rise over run, or it's also delta y, which means change of y over change of x. Okay, so this is perfect if you are given a linear line already, and you got to figure out the slope. You could just start with your y-intercept and figure out how much do you rise and how much do you run. Okay, so that depends if the graph isn't really like confusing. Uh, this is the other way to find slope. This is probably the most practical way to find slope. So you would have to, if they give you coordinates, you're going to use this formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So this is very popular. This is something you will definitely use, and we'll see in the later section. So you can also use this if you're given a graph, right? If you're given a graph and you still got to figure out the slope, what you could do is from the graph, pick two exact points on the graph and then use the formula. And then I think we are actually going to find the equation of a linear line. So what is one of the form of a linear line equation? It is, you remember this, y equals mx plus b. Okay. So maybe I think this is review, the y equals mx plus b. Okay, let's begin. You know the formula, so we can start three problems. So question one says, what is the slope of a line? So this is technically a linear line. It's just horizontal. And I've seen this a lot of times when I was tutoring other students in my college algebra class. They might ask you, what is the slope of a horizontal line? So it's either zero or undefined. Okay. So if you have a horizontal or a vertical line, the slope of those lines are either going to be zero or undefined. So what you could do is if you're not sure or if you just don't know, pick 2 points on this graph and use a slope formula. So that is what I'm going to do. Okay. So let's pick two random points. It could be any point you choose as long as it hits the graph. So let's just use the darks, the one that where they use dark. So this dark point is expressed as coordinates 3, comma 6. And then this dark point could be expressed as -5, comma 6. Okay. Now, once you got your 2 points, label it so you don't get confused. So label this point x1, y1, x2, y2. Because believe it, you'd be surprised how easily even I make mistakes. So it's just try to stay neat. So what is my y2? It is 6 minus what is my y1? 6. And then on the bottom, what's my x2? -5 minus what is my x1? 3. What's on the numerator? What's 6 minus 6 is 0. And then on the denominator, what's -5 minus 3? -8. So this is my slope. And what is 0 over -8? That is right. It is 0. If the 0 is on the top, you're fine. So if it was 0 over 5, 0 over 3, 0 over 100, 0 over -1, as long as the 0 is on the top, it will always be 0. And if you're still not sure, you could put that in the calculator. If you put 0 over -8 in the calculator, it will say 0. Okay. So Now you know that all horizontal lines will have a slope of 0. So go ahead and write this on your notes because it will come up again. So you don't have to do the pain of doing this work, but you can use this. You could do this work if you really are lost. So you could say all horizontal line will have a slope of 0. Okay, so it doesn't matter if it's like this or if it's down here. As long as it's horizontal, the slope will always be 0. Let's move on. So question 2 says, what is the slope of this line? So it's not horizontal or vertical. Um, they give you a line and it's positive. It's a linear line going positive. So it's linear and it's going positive. So unfortunately, we can't eliminate any of these because they're all positive. One is positive, 2, 3, and 4. So we can't eliminate. So what you could do is two things. You can use the slope formula, m equals y2 minus y1. Or what you could do is if you're real, this is not something I recommend, but you could from your y-intercept, for example, -3, -3 is your y-intercept. Figure out how much rise and how much run to the next point. So this is what I mean. So at -3, it looks like you may have rised 1, 2. So you rise 2, positive 2, 1, 2, and then you ran 1 to the right. Right? That is one, if you're really, if it's not that confusing, you start with your y-intercept, figure out how much you rise, 1, 2, and then how much you run. Uh, if that confuses you, just pick two random points and use the formula. So that's what I'm going to do just to double check. So it has to be exact points on the graph. So you can use this point. This is a one, so how do I express that? It would be expressed as 0, comma -3. And then I need another random point, maybe this point right here, that is at 2, comma 1. And just label this x1, y1, x2, y2. So what is my y2? It is 1 minus my y1 is -3. My x2 is 2 minus my x1 is 0. And then on the top, what's two negatives becomes a positive, so that's 4. And then 2 minus 1 is 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So my slope is definitely 2, or yeah. Okay, so that is your answer. Let's do question 3. What is the slope of the linear equation describing the relationship between distance and time on the provided table, which represents the constant speed of a runner? So what is the slope? So they give you coordinates, believe it or not. I believe time will represent the x and the distance will represent the y. So what is slope? Change of y over change of x. So what you're going to do, or you could do y2 minus y1 for x2. In fact, that's what I'm going to use. So what I'm going to do is pick some random points, two random points. It could be any point you like. So if I do 3, 15, and then 6, 30, that's perfectly fine. This is going to be x1, y1, x2, y2. So what is my y2? My y2 is 30. What is my y1? 15. What is my x2? 6. And then what is my x1? 3. So what is 30 minus 15 is 15. And then what is 6 minus 3, which is 2. And then 15 divided by 3 is 5. Okay, so that is letter A. There you go. Those are, that is slope, calculating slope. Oh, let me check my work. Perfect. We got a perfect score, so I'm going to stop here.